Right, welcome back. So, as you've seen by the title of the video, this is going to be your no bullshit guide to getting abs this summer. I'll obviously make it a little bit more of a lifestyle vlog, so it's a little bit more digestible, and it's not not an incredibly boring watch of me just sitting down. But in the link below this as well, if you're watching this, you can also get access to the 4 weeks of free coaching. By the time this is going out, it will have already been improved, but that is literally what I'm sitting down doing at my desk right now. So you might be sitting there thinking, like, what is the catch? Why am I doing 4 weeks of free coaching? Are you going to ask us for loads of money at the end and all this sort of stuff? Like, look, obviously, I run a business. At some point, I would like anybody who's watching this, as long as you're a good fit for the business, to come and work with me, because I genuinely believe I can better people's lives. But there is absolutely no catch with the 4 weeks of free coaching. It is literally just the first 4 weeks that I would take every single online client that I have through to get them to understand their habits and behaviors better, set them up with a proper structure, and get them started with their fat loss or muscle gain, whatever that might be. It's literally as simple as that. So if you're wanting to do that, like I said, there's no catch, there's no nothing, there's no hidden payments or anything like that. Just hit the link in the bio below, or copy and paste the link that I've got in there. You can obviously put that into the web browser, and you'll be able to just quickly sign up for the 4 weeks of free coaching. It takes about 30 seconds to sign up for. You'll immediately get the first email, and then that will start you off. Now, why am I doing this? Literally because, one, a lot of you that are watching this, if you've been consistently watching my videos, you may be interested in coaching in some capacity, but you're scared to make the financial commitment, or scared to commit in case you don't do it, or whatever it might be. There's a lot of reasons why people don't start coaching, which is why I'm given the option to do the free trial, because I want you to be able to see exactly how coaching is, exactly what I'm like, exactly how I coach, to make sure that it's right for you. Because ultimately, if you do want to start coaching with me, then we need to make sure that we're a good fit for each other. And if you fucking hate the 4 weeks free coaching and you hate me by the end of it, well, then you're probably not going to be watching these videos anymore. And it just means that we know that we're not a good fit for each other. Now, I only want to work with people who are right for my business, which, if you've been watching these consistently, you probably are, to be honest. Obviously, my coaching is focused around body transformation. Put a lot of stuff heavily on fat loss, muscle gain, making sure that we're in the right structure, and not just getting you the result, but also making sure that you keep the result for the remainder of your life as well. That is the biggest focus, and that's done through a lot of work on making sure that these habits stick for you, and that there's genuine, true change in the long term, because if we don't do that, you're never going to keep the results. So that's my little introduction. If you want to sign up, hit the link below. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next clip. Now, this is going to allow you to have a much slower rate of weight gain. That's incredibly important when you're trying to build muscle. Reason being is, when you build muscle, you can only build it so quickly. It takes a long time to do. So if you start to just hike up the calories and put a shit ton of weight on, you might get physically bigger and fill your clothes out more. But ultimately, most of that is going to be body fat. Now, most of you that are watching this are going to be here for fat loss. 1% body weight per week is pretty decently aggressive. You can also go up to 1.5% per week if you want to be very aggressive. And if you want to be a little bit more conservative, aim to lose around 0.5% to 0.75% of your body weight per week. And those are the rates that I'll use with every single one of my clients, okay? When you're bulking or trying to build muscle, just aim for 0.25% per week. Again, taking it very slow, because you definitely can go too quick. So figuring out what those calories are is one of the most important things to do. You want to have around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. For most people, around 60 grams of fat is going to be a really good place to start. If you're a little bit heavier, have a little bit more than that, but other than that, just follow those macros. So you're going to follow those macros for a week, and then we are going to do what's called an assessment week. Okay, so with the assessment week, you're going to track your body weight, track your steps, track your activity levels, and your calories for the week. Now, one thing that's really important when it comes to an assessment week is we do it because we need to see, and by the way, I do this with every single one of my new clients, but we'll do this with everybody to make sure that I can see exactly where it is that they currently struggle with and what they need help with at the time. Now, that's an incredibly important thing to do, because if you notice that you're struggling to track your calories, or your body weight doesn't go down, then you know that you potentially need to make some food adjustments. Or you can see that if you're struggling to track your food over a weekend, then you know that you need to potentially work on weekends and how to manage social occasions and all the rest of it. Now, once you've got the assessment week done, what to do with the data, again, it will be inside of the 4 weeks of free coaching, but what to do with the data is, don't beat yourself up if you've struggled. The entire point of the assessment week is to be able to see exactly where it is that you're currently struggling with, so that you can course correct and obviously hit the ground running and start to make some really good results. So look at it objectively, look at where you've struggled, and what you're going to do from there is start to focus more specifically on the thing that you've struggled on. So again, if body weight hasn't come down that week and you've been sticking to the calories and you've actually been sticking to them, tracking everything correctly, then you know that you need to drop food. If you're trying to bulk and you know that your body weight hasn't gone up, you probably need to up it a little bit, but don't make any really drastic changes. I'm talking take like 10% off of your calories if you're struggling to lose the body fat. If you've stuck to it, again, that is a very important thing. So only drop it if you've actually stuck to the plan all week and if you're being 100% honest with yourself and you've done the things that you need to do. When it comes to the muscle building side of stuff, don't go and fucking hike them up very quickly. If I'm being honest, maybe even give it another week, and if it doesn't move up from then move it up. Then put your calories up by about another 150 to 200. And that is going to be your first assessment week. Obviously, make sure that when you do the 4 weeks of free coaching, that you've picked a training program that you can basically consistently do in the long term, not just in the short term. So don't pick a 5-day-a-week training plan if you know that you can't get to the gym 5 days a week consistently. You need to make sure that you can do either 3, 4 or 5 days every single week, essentially indefinitely. Now, are you going to have the odd week where you can't make it? Yes. But if it's going to be a regular thing where some weeks you can do 3, some weeks you can do 5, just pick the 3 days a week, okay? You're going to be much better off sticking to the same program, training every single muscle group twice per week, and training as hard as you possibly can. And that is going to lead me very nicely onto the training aspect of things. So, when it comes to the training program, as I mentioned in the previous clip, make sure that it's an amount of days per week that you can stick to consistently. Whether that's 3, 4 or 5 days, okay? Yes, you can make progress in 2 days, but realistically, if you want a transformation, you want to actually build a meaningful amount of muscle and have enough volume in there to actually build some meaningful amount of muscle, you're going to have to make sure you train in a minimum of 3 days a week. Now, how do we actually go about setting the training up? So the most important thing is when we're actually doing our training, we've got the program isn't actually the most important part of this. It's making sure that we're taking our sets to failure and that execution is good. Don't get me wrong, if you're new to the gym or you haven't been very consistent ever, you can pretty much just pick up a dumbbell and gain muscle. Your body's going to be very, very adaptive to muscle building because it's a new stimulus and your body reacts like that and will build your muscle a lot easier. However, if you get your execution and your intensity correct, you will build even more muscle. So just because you're brand new to the gym or you haven't been consistent ever, doesn't mean that this is an opportunity to just dig about with your training and hope for the best. Still make sure that you're getting the execution of the movement right. The most important thing when it comes to that execution and intensity, what I actually mean by that is you need to make sure that you're training close to failure for every single set. The way that we know that we're doing that is by the concentric slowing down, so the lifting phase or the shortening of the muscle slowing down involuntarily. So for an example, if you're doing a squat and you're pushing up, or you're doing a leg press and you're pushing, or if you're doing like a lat pull down or a deadlift or whatever it might be and you're pulling the weight towards you, well then that's the concentric, it's the shortening, it's that contraction of the muscle where you get the squeeze. So when that portion of the movement starts to slow down involuntarily, that's when you know you're training hard enough. Now I'll overlay a video of a good example of that, and what you'll notice is, over the course of the video, the first rep is going to take around a second to a second and a half, and the final rep will take about 3 to 4 seconds. You can see that it's a struggle. You can see that I'm trying to get the weight up the most that I possibly can, but ultimately you can see that it's involuntarily slowing down, and once I get to that point, I know that I've got maximum 3 reps left, maximum. Now as long as you're taking it to within a rep of failure, then that's going to be the most important thing. But if you're brand new to the gym, maybe don't go for any like 50-50 grinder reps, but if I'm being 100% honest, most years that are new to the gym probably won't train as hard as that anyway. So just make sure your reps are slowing down. If they're not, well then you're not training hard enough. And if you can do the same amount of weight for the same amount of reps for multiple sets, even more than one set, you're probably, well, you're just not training hard enough. If you've actually taken a set to failure and you've stimulated the muscle enough, your muscles will not be able to carry out the same weight and reps for another set. It's just the way that it is. They shouldn't be able to, and it's just physiology. If you can still do that, you're not training to failure and you've got like some sort of super recovery or anything like that, you're just not training hard enough. And that might seem very blunt, but that is just the truth. It's just the way that it is. And for a lot of people, when they start training, it is the biggest bottleneck because it feels uncomfortable, it feels hard. Your body doesn't want you to train that hard necessarily, but that's ultimately why your body will build the muscle. It feels the fact that, again, your body doesn't know you're at the gym. Your body, for all it knows, is you're trying to push a fucking, I don't know, let's just say like a big piece of fucking metal off you and stop you from dying. Like, if you're pushing like that, then that, for all your body knows, that's what it is. So it's you could be doing, I should say. So you need to give your body an actual reason to grow muscle. If you're not training hard enough, your body's not going to feel the need to make you any stronger, so you won't get any stronger. That is literally just the way that it works. So you have to be training close to failure. You also need to make sure that you train in every single muscle group twice per week. You'll notice any program that you've got inside of the 4 weeks free coaching, every single muscle group is trained 2 to 3 days per week. The reason that we do that is a lot of studies have shown, this is very well documented now, that we grow around 50% more muscle from training muscles twice per week or even more. Okay? Yeah, we're going to be way better off doing that, because I'll not try and bore you to the science side of stuff, but the way that muscles are built, it's not the fact that they break down and rebuild back stronger. That's actually called muscle damage, and we don't want that. It's from motor unit recruitment and mechanical tension. We get that by lifting heavier loads and training close to failure. So if we have, say for an example, you do 10 sets over the entire week for your chest. If you do 4 sets on a Monday, 3 sets on a Wednesday, and then 3 sets on a Saturday, you've done 10 sets across the week. Okay? If you just go into the gym on a Monday and you do 10 sets for your chest in one workout, as the workout goes on, you're going to be able to stimulate a lot less motor units, and you're going to create a lot less mechanical tension. So you're better off allowing the muscle to recover, doing a smaller amount of sets over 2 or 3 workouts, and having much better quality work within those sets. That's going to build you significantly more muscle, and that's incredibly well documented. It's worked for me, it's worked for my clients, it's worked for my coach, it's worked for his coach, it's worked for every single person that's built any meaningful amount of muscle over a long period of time, because you're allowing the muscle to recover in between sets, and that means that the quality of the set is ace every fucking time, every single time. The quality of every single set is the most important thing whenever you're doing any sort of weights, muscle building workout. Every single time, there's no debate about that. And that's from an execution, as in form standpoint, and also from an intensity standpoint. Because if those two things aren't where they need to be, you're not going to build anywhere near as much muscle as you can. Don't be rushing in between your sets. Don't be doing 30-second muscle building rep zone. Wait until you're recovered. So the 3-step checklist that I give all of my clients is mind, muscle, and cardio. So do you feel mentally ready to go into another set? Do your muscles feel recovered enough to give another good quality set and train close to failure? And is your cardio the limiting factor? So if you've just done a higher rep set at leg press, which I wouldn't really recommend, I'd probably stay within the 6 to 10 rep range. But if you're out of breath from a set and then you go into another set and your cardio gives up before your legs do, well then you didn't take your legs to failure, you took your cardio to failure. Okay? So it's going to end up being more of a cardio workout than it is a weights workout. So that's my tips for the training. As I said, in the gym, a consistent amount of times per week. Make sure you're training hard, make sure your execution's good, and train every single muscle group a minimum of twice per week. 3 times max, you don't need to do 4. 4 is just overkill, okay? So yeah, that's my tips for training, and we will move on to the next bit in just a sec.